Well, his next fight seems like a title defense against Frankie Edgar, potentially Aldo, but let's assume it's Edgar. He's a very, very tough fight for McGregor. Do you think we're looking at a very real possibility of McGregor potentially losing 2 fights in a row here?
Oh yeah, definitely. 2 or 3 or 4. You know, you got to understand how tough the weight classes that he's in are. You know, the strap changes hands constantly. Jose Aldo held it for a record period of time, and that record's not going to be beat anytime soon. That weight is just too hard. You know, same thing with 155. That belt's on somebody new constantly. Anthony Pettis was on the cover of the Wheaties box, what was that, 18 months ago? And now he's just one of the guys, and he's one of the best fighters I've ever seen. Anthony Pettis can do, just amazing and crazy things, but that weight class is that hard. It's so tough at 55. 45 is even tougher. So, yeah, could he lose to Frankie? Absolutely. Where does he go from there? Well, he goes right into another stud because he's such a big draw. He's always going to be a main event. Whether he's fighting for the belt or not, he's going to be the main event in the foreseeable future, which means he's fighting another stud from the toughest weight class there is. Yeah, he's going to get beat, but so's Frankie, so's Jose. They just are. You know, so's Cub Swan. You go through the list, they're going to get beat. It's just that kind of a weight class.
Well,
and good athletes do get beat. You know, the only sport, you know, where they fix it is like boxing, so that it's organized. The good athletes get beat. You go look at Kobe Bryant. You go look at what's that other basketball player? LeBron James. These guys lose 20, 25 games a year. You go look at Peyton Manning. He lost 8 games in the last 4 months. Good athletes get beat constantly. The boxing model came along a little bit different because nobody was paying attention. Nobody watches boxing except for the big fights, so they padded guys' records. They could put them on Sports Center and say they're 30-0 with 28 knockouts. But the reality is that the good athletes get beat a lot. Wayne Gretzky got beat all the time, at least once a month his entire career. There's not a solid athlete out there that you could bring up to defeat that argument. Guys that go on to win the Olympic championship, they'll lose 10, 12, 15 times that year.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a very interesting perspective. Let me ask you something, Chael, because something that made us laugh this week was Justin Bieber coming out and saying he thought Nate Diaz has a terrible MMA style. We have to get your thoughts on Bieber's comments. And is this almost like a victory with possibly one of the biggest stars in the world, you know, commenting about one of the UFC fights?
Yeah, it was definitely cool. It was a good thing. You know, Bieber's a big fight guy. I thought it only extended to boxing. His brother and his father are big MMA fans. They tweet about MMA all the time, but I've never seen Justin do it. So yeah, it was a win. And look, he backed his guy. He's a fan. He likes Conor. Good for him. He didn't blow in the wind like everybody else that liked Conor. So I thought that Nate's response was beautiful and hilarious in Diaz fashion, but it was definitely, the whole thing was in good fun.